Hello, welcome to the Sideboard here at the Star City Games Players Championship, brought to you by Ultimate Garden, Carnox Chairs. Nick Miller alongside a yearly points total earner, Jonathan Hobbs. No stranger to Frilled Mystic, and it is no surprise to see you playing a flash deck here in Standard. It had a breakout performance at the Mythic Championship last weekend, and I saw that and I was like, well, I think we know what Hobbs is playing at this tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, you ripped off a PTQ win last weekend with the deck, so you're coming in hot with this deck. 2 top 8s with a similar style deck this year in Standard. Take us through Simic Flash here in Standard, starting with the namesake card on the first slide, Frilled Mystic.
Oh, yeah. So, Frilled Mystic, a lot better in this deck because of the 2-drop ramp spells. Brazen Bar, great new addition. Going to serve as a removal spell and weight of pressure. Helps against, like Witch's Oven and stuff. Hydroid Crisis helps since you have these 2-mana ramp spells now. It's going to give you a late-game finisher.
Right.
And it'll pair well with Nissa.
Right, we're going to see that coming up. That's the real switch to these flash decks that you weren't really doing back in the day when you were playing the Bant versions.
Yeah.
But now we have the Nissa Hydroid Crisis in-game, but with, your favorite pairing of Frilled Mystic Night Pack Ambusher here.
Yeah, it just makes sense to play, 4 of each copy since you have so many 2-mana ramp spells. You're just going to always try and play one of these on 3 and put your opponent in a weird predicament.
Right. Paradise Druid, the other card that helps you ramp here. Yeah. We'll move on here.
Same with Nissa. Like if your opponent ever taps out and you just get a slam Nissa, hold up an interaction spell the following turn, the game's usually just so over.
Right. Moving on, Growth Spiral, the other thing that really made this deck so powerful now. But also Aether Gust, this card in a format that's almost all green.
Yeah,
it's just going to do so much work.
Yeah, once I realized the format was just like Jeskai Fires, Oven, like Cat Oven in the mirror, I just wanted a lot of Aether Gust in the main deck, so I cut the negate for it.
Right, and there's not a single deck in the Standard portion of the Players' Championship that doesn't have green, so never dead.
Yeah.
Mystical Dispute here, your other counterspell that we'll go along and see Quench and Sinister Sabotage on the next page. These are what really put you as the flash deck, let you play this counterspell deck. Was there any varying on the numbers from, the Mythic Championship, or were you happy with what you had?
Yeah, I'm happy with these numbers. I kept a bunch of Mystical Disputes because it's great in the mirror against the ramp decks and fires. And then, it's just never a terrible counterspell. It's serviceable to just hard cast.
Coming into this event, when it had the breakout performance last weekend, was that a concern to you with people being aware, having open deck lists or anything like that? Or were you just locked in, comfortable with something like this?
Yeah, I didn't think too hard into next leveling. I think it was just a lot easier for me to play the deck I was comfortable with. Even if they know I'm going to play Frilled Mystics, I'm okay with that. I'm going to still win.
You're the one who is the most comfortable with the Frilled Mystic. All right, the mana base here, pretty simple, but we do have Castle of Antris as the other card that really lets you be your flash deck, do things at the end of their turn. How good is it in this deck?
Oh, it's great. It's just one of the best late game sinks. It's going to help a lot when you don't have a Night Pack Ambush or something to not do at their end step. It's going to help build you a mana advantage. So you can set up your later turns.
Right, one of the best temple decks as well, with no 1-mana spells outside of Mystical Dispute. Yeah. Sometimes you have no problem doing this on turn 1.
Yeah, and you can Growth Spiral into it.
All right, moving on here through the rest of the mana base, pretty simple. We got our basics, but then the sideboard here, this one's standing out. We did not see Commence the in-game before. Yeah. Here, talk about its inclusion.
Well, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory what it's for since, it can't be countered. I expected some other people to hop on the flash deck since it did so well last weekend, so I wanted a card that just, was immediately for the matchup going to win me the game, and this is it. So the only way to answer the amass token is just Brazen Borrower, and there's only 2 to 3 copies usually. And you can't Aether Gust it or anything. So they're just gonna play their Nissa. I'm gonna be fine with that. I'm gonna eat their land, and then I'm gonna have a huge attacker for their Nissa the following turn. Or it'll just eat a Night Pack Ambusher.
Yeah, pretty good. Disdainful Stroke here, another counterspell. Got the Transformation as your quasi removal spell.
Yeah, it helps with Shifting Ceratops or Mayhem Devil, stuff like that.
Okay, moving on here. We saw Love Struck Beast. This allows you to kind of shift gears, get a little aggressive against certain decks.
I didn't expect too much Golgari Adventures because that's what it's mainly for, but I still think you had to respect it because it's just not the best matchup if not.
Right. More mystical disputes and negate as your extra counterspells. Anything notable going on here or decks that you were paying attention to?
Not too much. I think you need the full 4 copies again because of the mirror. It's like too much of a blowout if you cast Frilled Mystic and it just gets disputed. Like a lot of times in the mirror, I would like Mystical Dispute their card so they couldn't Mystical Dispute me back. So I would have 3 to pay for instead of casting a Frilled Mystic.
Right, and
so
that's something you're going to have an edge in, I would imagine, playing this deck. The amount you have played it over the year, you're going to have these spots figured out, going to be comfortable with that kind of thing. Wrapping up here, last couple of sideboard cards. Return to Nature. Are we targeting anything in specific with this?
It's mainly the food decks. There was a Crushing Canopy, but I found that was only mainly serviceable against Jeskai Fires or like Corvold specifically. So I thought this was a more versatile card against the food decks. Because answering Witch's Oven is pretty key, so like that's what mainly Sorcerer's Spyglass is for, so I wanted additional copies of Disenchants to help.
Right, and we did see the John Sacrifice deck take down the tournament last weekend against Simic Flash, so having tools for that deck specifically seems pretty good.
I didn't think it would be like a bad thing if I was a little too over-prepared, so.
Okay. Taking this deck into the tournament, did you have an expected field for what you thought people were going to show up with? What was your main guess for what was probably going to be the most played deck?
Yeah, I expected a lot of the mirror because it was just like the best deck going in. These people are just going to play most of the good decks because Standard was so unknown previously. And then I also expected a lot of Jund food, so I wanted to make sure I was prepared for that.
All right, well, when you think of Frilled Mystic, we think of Jonathan Hobbs, a master of this kind of deck. We look forward to seeing, hopefully you play some Standard with this deck. In your wheelhouse, how do you feel coming in?
I feel great. Just all my decks are just me decks. I feel very comfortable, and it seems to work out.
All right, Jonathan Hobbs here at your first Players Championship. Stay tuned to Star City Games all weekend long for the action here in Roanoke.